Yes, we gotta wait for reinforcements. Where the hell's that bard? The sun will come out tomorrow. Bet your bottom dollar. Tomorrow there will be sun. Sup D&D bags, my name's Tom and welcome back to another item of the week where I look at weapons, armours, items and trinkets that you can use in your roleplay campaigns. So today we're going to be talking about the Bard's Blade. The Bard's Blade is a short sword very reminiscent of a Roman infantryman's short sword. However, it has two distinct differences. The first being that the original point of the sword is instead two prongs reminiscent of a tuning fork, and the second being the etched writing along the shaft of the blade saying, "Sing my reply and I will strike true." The grip and the pommel of the sword are made out of regular wood and have no distinguishing features. However, the Bard's Blade is much more than just a short sword. When the wielder of the Bard's Blade draws his sword and attacks, in a shrill metallic voice, the blade will sing the first half of a rhyming couplet. The wielder then has a couple of seconds to sing the reply to this rhyming couplet. If they manage to do this, the blade does as it says and strikes true, giving advantage for that attack. If the wielder, however, can't quite spit it out or fumbles over his words, then they gain disadvantage for that particular attack. A bonus effect of the Bard's Blade is it not only is reminiscent of a tuning fork, but it actually acts as one as well. If the blade strikes a solid object hard enough to reverberate, it will actually reverberate in the key of A, acting as a useful tuning tool for your loot. So we've talked about what the Bard's Blade looks like, what it can do. Now let's talk about where we can find it. Now with many bardic items, it's likely to be in the hands of a college, or it can be in the hands of one of its students roaming the world. However, due to the combat focus of the Bard's Blade, perhaps it has a different story. It could be that the Bard's Blade has come into being due to a famous, well-known bard's soul being intertwined with this short sword. That would explain the singing duet partner that the sword can be. However, as with most bardic items, they normally have songs written about how they've come into being. The song of the Bard's Blade tells of a heroic warrior returning from war. After fighting in battles for many years, he returns home to find that his wife has eloped with a famous bard. Seething with anger, he sets off to track down the bard and his missing wife. After tracking them down to a rural hideaway, the warrior bursts in and slays the bard there and then. However, being a cheeky fellow, the bard curses the warrior to always carry around a remnant of him within the Bard's Blade. And that's the story, sung by bards in local taverns and colleges alike. If the party were to overhear this story being sung by a bard in a local tavern, perhaps they can investigate to find out more about the Bard's Blade. But away from storytelling, where else could you find the Bard's Blade? Just as I discussed in my video regarding the String Maiden's Lament, the blade could also be in one of the colleges, displayed as an ancient artifact or relic. Aside from that, the blade could belong to a troupe of bards that specialise in combat. Perhaps they adorn themselves with bells and other trinkets that make noise when they dance around on the battlefield, making their music very combat orientated. Now it's up to you whether this troupe of aggressive bards are good or evil. If they're more on the evil side, perhaps they're very aggressive and like causing fights and trouble. However, if they're more on the good side, perhaps they're bounty hunters, tracking down known criminals. Now if the party were to assist this troupe of bards, perhaps the blade would be gifted to them. Okay, so we've talked about the blade, we've talked about where to find it. Let's talk about some alternate versions. Now one alternate version is that the blade could be completely sentient. The soul of the famous bard that's been sealed within the blade could follow around the wielder at all times, being able to communicate with him freely. Now it's up to the DM's discretion on how much control this bard's soul has over the blade. Perhaps he can move the blade at will in the wielder's hand and point it in certain directions. It could even be that the soul trapped within the blade has a quest to track down his killer. Again, however, within combat, if the wielder was to sing along or get along well with the blade, perhaps it provides an advantage to his attacks. The blade could even be reminiscent of its old wielders or old users that it recalls, and maybe even the party could meet these people. Perhaps instead of giving advantage to attack rolls, the blade sings when it senses danger nearby. Or in fact, when in combat, perhaps the wielder can activate the blade to sing a shrill metallic song that will pierce the ears of anyone listening. Now if the party is well prepared, they can have earplugs in, whereas all the other enemies in the surrounding area are likely to be deafened. Again, with these versions of the Bard's Blade, it's open to interpretation, and you do what fits best for your party. Hey, thanks for watching Item of the Week. Be sure to leave a comment down below on how your players reacted to this week's item. Also, be sure to check out my channel for more Item of the Week and other D&D content. Hitting that subscribe button will make you the first to know when new videos come out.
And finally, don't forget to drop me a follow on Twitter and check out the full Item of the Week archive in the link in the description.